Previously on part 1.
Germany partners up with a couple of other countries. And he was like, we're going to form an alliance and we're going to try to do this thing together. World domination. Okay. One of those countries being Japan. Okay. Japan joined in. Now, Japan decided we're going to start doing some crazy things and start in Asia with taking land and so on and so forth. And they say, you know what, though? If we start taking certain land, a certain somebody is going to intervene and stop us. We can't have that. So what we need to do is start getting rid of some of the U.S.'s forces. Okay. Japan started with a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. 1945, the U.S. drops nuclear items in parts of Japan. Now, Russia was like, wait, what you got? Hold on. Like, what was that? What was that that you just did there? Then the people, the higher ups in Russia was like, oh no, we can't be behind them like that. Russia caught up. Okay. They were caught up to the US's, nuclear items. It was able to rebuild it. It wasn't as big, but they got the formula. Okay. The US and Russia succeeded in building these items that would disrupt the earth in such a way that it would end everything. UFO and UAP sightings start to pick up from there. The aliens and the UAPs are started to be sighted near these sites, where test sites and building sites and so on and so forth. The thought is the Russians and the US have the biggest nuclear items, and if by any chance they were even to accidentally press a button, or if one country thinks the other is maybe trying to get them or whatever, and then it starts this nuclear item exchange is what we're going to call it, and end everything walking just by an accident, that is the concern of not only the people, but I'm just assuming the aliens, because of their behaviors and what they have telepathically communicated to the abductees. Even people they didn't abduct, people they just encountered. Nuclear items seem to be a interest of our alien counterparts. They're trying to gather intel. Basically, that's the beliefs of, these ex-military personnel and so on and so forth. Now, why are y'all so interested in our nuclear items? This is a concern for the aliens because, as I said, any back and forth with nuclear items between the two countries is catastrophic and can end everything, including probably the planet itself. And we don't quite know if these UFOs or UAPs or this other civilization is in another planet in the solar system. They're on another planet. Like, are they on another planet, or are they here on Earth, living in the oceans and in secret mountains and stuff? There's a lot of talk that the aliens are here and they're just able to be undetected. Like they're living simultaneously on the same planet as us at some capacity. That's basically what people like whistleblowers and high military personnel and even CIA agents are reporting that's happening out there. But the problem is that these commercial pilots and the military pilots, they don't have a safe way to express their concern or even talk about their sightings. Everything is hush-hushed.
In the space where truths collide, a deeper understanding may reside.
All right. We're getting somewhere. Now we're going to get more into the UAP situation. So just to recap, let's recap for a minute, because that was a lot of information, right? To recap, what I'm saying is, in the 1940s, these nuclear items are being built by these two powerhouses of countries, US being one. After the situation that happened in Japan, everybody's kind of getting an idea of what's out there, what's available. So these two powerhouses of countries start to build bigger and bigger and bigger items to protect themselves in a sense. The problem is there's an unknown force intervening at some capacity, which are the presumed to be the UAPs, aka the aliens. They have a big interest in these nuclear items that is accessible to the human race. We all know man has a lot of pride and ego, so it's not really trustable, right? Over time, these two powerhouses of countries try to come to some type of understanding. We don't want this, right? We don't want to unalive everything walking, do we? We don't. We need to come to an understanding. Over time, these two major countries are not the only ones with these very powerful items. You have places like China, Pakistan, and several other countries that also have nuclear items. Do they have as many as these two major powerhouses of countries? No. They may have a couple hundred, a few hundred. These two powerhouses have 2,000s still to this day. Now the arms race, which is over the span of 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and beyond, they started just mass building these items just to be ahead of one or the other. But guess what? Russia went so hard that they surpassed the U.S. allegedly, or it was proven either way. They surpassed the U.S., but it started affecting their economy in a great way. People couldn't really feed themselves. Things started getting real dark because the main focus was nuclear items. So there was that. To recap again, like I said, this unidentified force, this unknown force is interfering in both a good way and a questionable way, whereas you're taking control or you're manipulating these systems in a way where it's creepy and concerning, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe they're just doing scientific research. We don't know. What we do know is that these craft that they have seem way beyond us, way beyond what the human race has been able to build in this moment technologically. And the force that it takes to fly these things is so beyond our capabilities. I believe they said something. This is an example, because I don't know if I have the exact words right, but G-forces. G-forces is basically, from what I know, okay, I'm not even gonna look this up because it's not, super important. But from what I understood and what I understand, basically, G-forces is the power of gravity, in a sense, that you may feel when being propelled at such a high speed, right? Airplanes, jets, UAPs. Basically, the human body could take approximately, let's just call it 7 G-forces in a span of about less than 30 seconds, and the human body will be all right. Anything above 7 G-forces would, for any extended amount of time, even 7 G-forces for a long time could cause a lot of health problems. But anything above 7 G-forces could cause, perish, or the human body to perish, or the human body to pass out or have major health conditions, so on and so forth. They're basically alleging that these UAPs are not human manned, can't possibly be, because these things travel upwards of 75, 150 G-forces, way beyond what a human body could even withstand. These are just, I don't know if these are real numbers or not. Like I said, I've been doing this research for a long time, so please bear with me. But also, with that being said, these whistleblowers and scientists and physicists are basically saying that, hey, they're accusing the U.S. Forget accusing. It's unclassified at some capacity. They're saying that the U.S. has been capturing these UAPs from crash landings or even them down. Oops, am I supposed to say that word? Anyway, from taking them down and recovering these items, and have been lying for a long time, saying, we ain't recovering nothing. What are y'all talking about? The whole time they were, especially in Roswell, 1947. Now, they've been studying this technology and sampling this technology from these craft. And they're basically saying, the physicists and scientists are basically saying, how is it that within the last 15 to 20 years, we've been able to technologically excel in so many ways, more than we had ever been able to do that in hundreds of years before. They're basically saying that's because, these major countries are capturing these vessels, studying them, and so on and so forth. Now, just to backtrack just a little bit. Remember when I said that the U.S. dropped items on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Well, when they did that, one of the things I wanted to know when I was doing my research is, how did Japan recover from that? One of the ways Japan recovered from that is because the U.S. helped them recover. It's very interesting. I thought that was very interesting. It reminds me of my mother. My mother used to beat me really bad to the point where I would have welts and bleeding on my arms and legs and head, wherever she beat me. She would beat me till I bled and had all these bumps from these horrible beatings. And she would cry with me and hug me as if someone did something to us rather than her doing something to me. I don't know why that just popped in my head like that. But that's what reminds me of what U.S. did to Japan. Now, granted, we should have helped Japan because, what happened. But I just find it very interesting that we did help Japan, but thank goodness we did. Anyway, what came out of us helping Japan was concentration on funding into the technological stuff and, cameras and all that. And was able to help them rebuild all types of construction resources and so on and so forth. And I just think that's part of, technology. That was like a big thing in technology, in 1945 when he started to really put back into the Japanese community in agriculture. All right. Now, that's just an observation. Like maybe that's why we're technologically somewhat advanced, but also it could definitely 100% be reverse engineering of alien craft, because they're doing it. It was said in the congressional hearings of, I believe it's 2023 and 2024. There were 2 congressional hearings revolving around UAPs and UFOs and how all these secrets are being kept. What are they calling it? Overclassification of the government. Where the government could be telling us more than they're actually telling us, but they're trying to keep it so secret because they don't want to share intelligence with other countries, because obviously other countries are all up in our business, especially in the media. And that's how, they're basically alleging that the Russians were involved in the rigging of the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections. Basically, other countries are definitely in our business. They keep an eye out. And so that's why I believe that part of the classification comes from. However, there are UAP and UFO incidents that's happening overseas in Germany and Russia as well. And it seems that Russia is copying everything the US does just to kind of stay on the same leveling ground. At one point, so after the Roswell incident, the US has been putting funding into UFO UAP research under several umbrellas of classification assignments, right? They've been putting together all these programs to study UAPs, study the sightings, studying reverse engineering. It's just been a lot of money put into UAP stuff. The stuff that they were always claiming that didn't exist. Oh, it's just a weather balloon. Man, it was aluminum foil. Y'all tripping. Whole time y'all was putting money into these researches for all this time. Why would you put money into something that you're claiming doesn't exist? Now, with that being said, the Russian government at some point also put money into a research group to study UAPs and UFOs. With that being said, for us to assume that we are the only country who is experiencing UAP phenomena is a stretch. So you're trying to keep all these things secret from other countries from seeing it, so on and so forth, and paying attention to our media and our declassification documents that were once classified, but they probably have their own documents. And, they're saying that the Soviets, aka the Russians, were also keeping these things secret as well. They don't want us to know, so on and so forth. Now, The difference between the U.S. and these other countries are we lack communism, meaning we have democracy and the voice of the people is very important in the United States, whereas it might not be that important in other countries. So Freedom of Information Act, these whistleblowers, these declassification documents, the overclassification from the government, so on and so forth, government transparency regarding UFOs and UAPs, so on and so forth. It just works differently in the US is what I'm basically trying to say. Like, whereas in these other countries, they may not have as many rights. The US really, they need to have that transparency just because of the way the government is structured and the democracy is structured. All right. Whew. I think I'm getting on a roll here a little bit. What do you think? I'm barely looking at my phone. That's great. This is all in my head. Just get me to rolling. Now, to keep it going, basically they're saying that these documents and everything, because of sensitive military equipment and certain sites in certain locations, they don't want their adversaries to know about. So I get it. Everybody gets it to a certain extent where, okay, you don't want to release certain information. But I guess it just became a little shaky to me. It was just like, y'all was hiding this for so long. A part of the testimonies from the 2023-2024 UAP congressional hearings were that they believed that the U.S. did not want to tell the nation about these UAP sightings and encounters because they were embarrassed, because they did not know how to handle these encounters. By the time they were going to go shoot or chase anything down, these UAPs outran them, outflew them. It's hard to, it's only a few apparently that they were able to like really, get down, bring down. Some people would even say, hey, how are you able to get certain things down and not others? Or why is it that certain things crash land? Certain UAPs crash land. And the answer for whoever answered it from the congressional hearings were, all technology has failures, mechanical failures and all that. I'm sure they're learning just like us. So that was that answer. Another answer is some people believe that the aliens want to give us technology and want to give us intelligence to enhance our abilities. Our minds, our systems, our blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. They want to give us this technology to propel the human race forward. They don't want us to ruin our planet with all this senseless BS of essentially a pissing contest. When it comes down to it, from what I gathered in these documentaries and from other government officials on both sides, I don't know, if we were going to fight, we could fight without the big stuff, I don't know. But of course, people are going to want to use the big stuff because they're going to think that the other person is going to use the big stuff. So all these treaties and agreements, they're starting to expire. And Russia did something really bad recently, didn't they? They once had the Soviet Union, which had certain land and property that somewhat belonged to them. Well, the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 meant that these other republics didn't want to be a part of Russia anymore. Started to have their own independence. Joined NATO, the Northern Atlantic Treaty Association. No, organization. The Northern Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is basically a bunch of allies with U.S., including Great Britain and all these other small countries. An attack against one is an attack against all. And that's why you guys see certain aid and money and billions and billions and billions of dollars going towards certain places. And we're all confused because that's our money. But what I learned, if you look at the map, just look geographically at the map. Just look at the map. The U.S. is like a 16th of Russia. let's let's look it up. This is not funny, but let's look it up. Okay, land size. Okay, Russia's the largest country in the world, twice the size of a U.S. inland area. Okay. However, the population is greater in America. I didn't notice that by more than half. Okay. So, okay, that makes me feel a little better. However, the area in square miles for Russia is 6.6 million. Area in square miles for the United States is 3.8 million. Almost half the size of Russia. However, the population is a lot greater, which, okay, that makes me feel different. Okay, I get it. That makes me feel different. Because even though we're smaller in size, we're mighty in numbers. We're mighty in numbers. But with that being said, when I did look at the size in a sense, I was like, we need those allies. What are y'all talking about? We need those allies. So an attack against one is attack against all. You're absolutely right. I don't even think that, this is just my opinion. I don't have no facts on this. I'm not even sure if all of NATO combined is as big as Russia in area, like in size. Let's look that up. I don't want to make baseless claims. Let's see. Combined and okay. Ooh. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Combined NATO is 10.2 million square miles. And of course, Russia is 6.6 million square miles. All right. Okay. Germany is a part of NATO. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. I remember I was watching a documentary and they did say West Germany was a part of, it was colored blue. So Russia was red and then West Germany was colored blue. And then they started telling me about how in Berlin, the Berlin was split in half between the blue and the red, but the whole Berlin was surrounded by red. And I believe they starved the people in West Berlin and then let them leave. Something like that. I'm not done watching a documentary, but I've been really into this stuff recently. And I usually don't do raw backwards documentary, but I have been really into it. And it's been enlightening because history is very important. And, you know, when you become older and you're out of school, first of all, they don't barely even teach you this stuff in school. If they do, it's you just learn about Napoleon and Greek mythology. That's all the fuck I remember for the most part. And then, of course, what happened to the Black Americans a long time ago and pertaining to ships and so on and so forth. They teach you about that a little bit, but I've heard that they were taking that out. I don't know. But they teach you about stuff that's not current. You know what I'm saying? Like in recent years, like I said, these agreements between the U.S. and Russia and their nuclear items, these agreements are expiring. And our current, you know, HBIC, which is head bitch in charge, is withdrawing from what he can when it comes to these agreements, which is raising eyebrows of the Russians. Shit's raising my eyebrows. What the hell we all need to all agree that these nuclear what's the names don't need to be used at all. Hey, just go pew pew. You don't gotta go boom boom. Hey. Or if you're gonna go boom boom, make it small boom booms. Don't make it big boom booms. We don't need a big boom. We need a small boom. No big booms, little small booms. What the hell? It's not that hard, I don't think. Okay, but yes. Now, back again to the UAPs. One of the reasons I believe that they're a bit concerned is because if you first of all, if they're living on the earth with us, yes, big concern, big concern. If they're living on another planet that we haven't reached, I believe that what they only went to Venus and possibly a couple stars. We didn't even like explore the solar system. They're basically saying the solar system is a billions of light years big, and light years and Earth years are very different. Earth years are very, 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 very slow compared to, light years. Or is it the other way around? Yeah, I think is it? Because when those people got stuck in space, when they came back, it was 8 months, and they looked like they aged like 15 years. That's what basically the people, the health people were saying. Y'all was gone for 8 months, and yeah. All right. Let me see. Let's look up the Bermuda Triangle. Only because they say that they feel like aliens may be living in the Bermuda Triangle. So let's look it up. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the most famous and mysterious regions on Earth, often associated with a strange disappearance of ships, aircraft, and people. Here's a full breakdown. What is the Bermuda Triangle? Location is a loosely defined region in the western North Atlantic Ocean. Rough coordinates forming a triangle. Miami, Florida, Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. Area roughly 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles, depending on how it's defined. Why is it famous? The Bermuda Triangle became legendary due to unexplained disappearances of ships and aircraft, often under mysterious or sudden circumstances, such as no distress signals, equipment failure, disorientation, or compass malfunctions. Famous incidents: Flight 19 in 1945, 5 U.S. Navy oh shoot, they almost got me. 5 U.S. Navy boom boomers vanished during a training flight. Rescue plane sent to find them also disappeared. That's crazy. No wreckage was ever found. USS Cyclops, 1918. A U.S. Navy cargo ship carrying 309 crew members vanished without a trace. Largest non-combat loss of life in the U.S. Navy history. Number 3, Star Tiger and Star Ariel, 1948 to 1949. British passenger planes disappeared mid-flight over the triangle with no distress calls. Number 4, Douglas DC-3, 1948. A commercial plane vanished 50 miles from Miami with 32 people aboard. Explanations and theories. Natural causes. Most widely accepted: unpredictable weather, sudden storms and water spouts, Gulf Stream, fast moving ocean current that can scatter wreckage. Human error. Navigational mistakes are common in open ocean. Magnetic anomalies. Try to get myself together, excuse me. Early claims of compass malfunctions. Methane gas theory. Trapped gas bubbles in the seafloor could reduce water density and sink ships. Popular but unproven theories: aliens or UFOs, time warps or portals, lost city of Atlantis, underwater technology or energy fields. What do scientists say? The U.S. Coast Guard and NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, have found no greater rate of incidents in the Bermuda Triangle than in any other heavily traveled ocean area. Most disappearances are explained by bad weather, equipment failure, or pilot area. Key facts: the nickname is the Devil's Triangle. Confirmed deaths hundreds over time, mostly due to accidents. Scientific stance: no supernatural explanation required. Pop culture, books, movies, and TV keep the mystery alive. Basically, they're saying that in the Bermuda Triangle, that's where the aliens are. Now, they didn't say, let's see. Are any survivable tours? Let's see. Bermuda Triangle. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. There are many safe and popular tours of the Bermuda Triangle, and millions of people travel through it every year without incident. The mystery is largely based on myth and selective storytelling, not actual danger. Safe and survivable Bermuda Triangle tours: air tours, small planes, or helicopter flights from places like Miami, Nassau, Bahamas, or Bermuda. Often take you over the blue holes and coral reefs, shipwreck sites, key triangle points, boat cruises, mini Bahamas cruises. Pass directly through the Bermuda Triangle. You can book day trips from Florida to Bimini or Grand Bahama, multi-day cruises to Bermuda or Caribbean islands. Some companies even offer Bermuda Triangle mystery cruises themed for fun, not fear. Okay. Diving and snorkeling tours. Okay. Tours from islands like Bahama, Andros, and Nassau. Going to the Bermuda Triangle waters. You can explore shipwrecks, reefs, and the tongue of the ocean. Underwater structures like so-called Bohemian Road. Is it safe to visit the Bermuda Triangle? Yes. Here's why. The triangle is a heavily traveled area, includes flight paths, shipping lanes, and cruise routes. Airlines, military, and cargo ships cross it daily. No agency like the FAA, U.S. Navy, NOAA, or Coast Guard considers it a danger zone. The disappearance that gave it a bad reputation are mostly due to storms, navigation errors, or old equipment. It debunked or exaggerated by books and pop culture. Okay, cool. So that was a myth, I guess. They're basically saying that they, but they say that snorkeling is still there. I don't know. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. But they still say that a large part of the U.S. ocean, the Earth's ocean, is undiscovered. All right, let's see where we left off because I'm going in a wormhole here. Let's see where we left off. Where did we leave off? So there has been times that people say that aliens saved them. They abducted them for a good reason. Those times have been when a human gets too close to their ships, their UAPs, the flying disc, or UFOs, whatever you decide to call them today. They get too close to them and there's radiation falling off of these items, and these humans begin to fall ill. A lot of times before humans even get that close, they tend to take off, but there are times where the people get too close, fall sick, you get abducted. They basically do things to your body and release you, catch and release. Yeah. So basically, those people say that the aliens may have saved them. They also say that a big part of the abductions are allegedly mainly to do more of a study of the human body. Now, during these congressional hearings and speeches or whistleblower testimonies, they have admitted to, now mind you, this went to Congress, okay? House of, Representatives. Is it the same thing? Whatever, you get it. It went to the government. And basically, under oath, these former military personnel, including a former CIA intelligence officer, high-ranking CIA intelligence officer who is a whistleblower. Basically, he became a whistleblower because he was concerned about the safety concerns surrounding UAPs and UFOs. The fact that you guys do not have, the fact that we as the American people do not have a proper system to share information and talk about these things is becoming an increasing concern. We need to know how to handle these things, said that person. And I personally agree. If they have a bunch of radiation, or we could communicate in a way where we could figure out how to interact or how not to interact with these things to keep ourselves safe, or have a protocol for when we do see these things, what to do, how to, everything, then that will be best for the military forces, because any perishable incidents is unnecessary. And we not even at raw backwards. So I think that we should, they're doing the right thing by pushing for a declassification of these documents. Now, the first congressional hearing, from what I understand, please do your own research. Now, mind you, I will say this. A lot of my research took a long time. It takes a lot of hours out of your day. And if you really want to get into it, you can get into it. But I'm just trying to summarize it for you the best way I know how and the best way I can. I will say that from what I gathered, the first congressional hearing in 2023 was basically to express concern and try to get something passed in some type of government way. Legislation, so on and so forth, a law, a bill, whatever. And they did get something passed. This is just from what I understand. I believe they came up with, it was something to protect. Let's look it up. Let's not share this information. Let's see. Result of congressional hearing. Let's see. The 2023 U.S. congressional hearing of unidentified anomalous phenomena held on July 26, 2023 marked a significant moment in governmental transparency regarding unexplained aerial phenomena. The hearing featured testimonies from 3 military veterans, David Grush, David Forever, Ryan Graves. Key testimonies and claims. We kind of read this. Let me just read it. Oh, hold on, there's a lot to read. Let's just look at the summary. In 2023, hearing brought unprecedented attention to UAPs, highlighting conflicting narratives between whistleblower testimonies and official government statements. While no concrete evidence was presented to confirm extraterrestrial involvement, the hearing underscored the need for continued investigation and transparency. Okay, wait. Okay. Let's look it up. Governmental response. The Pentagon has stated that there is no verifiable evidence to support claims of extraterrestrial materials or reverse engineering programs. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, aka AARO, established to investigate UAPs reported findings, no evidence of technology or alien technology or hidden programs, which is bullshit. Okay. The hearing intensifies calls for greater transparency and whistleblower protections related to UAPs. Legislators have proposed measures to declassify UAP-related documents and ensure that information is shared with Congress. Okay, the problem was, I believe that the resolution was AARO needed to investigate former programs and see if there was money being funneled to these programs that they're hiding from the community, the public. And also, I know there was something else. It was like a Whistleblower Protection Act or something, but I don't know. I don't see it here for some odd reason. It's like a Whistleblower Protection Act, something like that. And okay, just with both congressional hearings, here are the key takeaways. Key takeaways that there was a spread of disinformation from the government, as we already know they do that on the daily. This information of government campaign where they were basically lying to us this whole time about UAPs and UFOs and saying, oh no, it's nothing there. You just imagining stuff. But I believe the increase of civilian technology and civilian material of these unidentified aerial phenomena it's getting harder to deny it. Like, we have 4K cameras now. Hey, shit, we have social media now. Like, it's hard to deny some things now. But disinformation campaign, they're saying basically there definitely are reverse engineering situations going on, but they're still lying about it. Like, there was this case where these 2 women were exposed to crazy nuclear radiation because they were allegedly, we call it re-engineering these craft in a more military way. That was one of the key takeaways, basically, re-engineering program. Another key takeaway is that there was an alien apparently that they caught that was alive, and they called him EBI, and they communicated telepathically with this creature and try to get information. But from what I understand, they did not release what they talked about with EB. And apparently EB died a while ago. I don't know how long he survived in these areas and in this government facility, but he passed due to an unknown illness. They couldn't save EB, but apparently they questioned the hell out of him. And there was also another major testimony of a person who performed top secret autopsies. I was trying to get that word right, excuse me, of these things. One of the things that he pointed out is that these creatures had 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, 2 eyes, and a mouth. The head was slightly different from a human head, enlarged like a light bulb, and a small slit for a mouth. Sort of barely didn't really have any lips, and the nose was, I think, inward, something like that. And big bombshell, he said that the alien had human DNA. which then push people to believe that these beings are somehow related to us. And the reason they don't hurt us is because their interest is much greater and deeper than hurting us. It could be directly affecting their bloodline in some way. And so that could be a reason they don't hurt us. So it's just a lot going on when it comes to that. I could go on all day. The amount of freaking research I did. Another key takeaway is that they are interested in nuclear items and nuclear sites. Another interesting fact is that they are engaging in some way flights, okay, and then not 100% hostile, but I'm sure there has been times where they were hostile, but it's not enough times for that we need to be greatly concerned. In fact, it said that high-ranking military people would often ignore these things, like, oh, that's nothing, like it's just normal. But if they're in interacting with commercial jets and stuff like that, like we need more transparency with that. We need to know how to handle it as a public and as, pilots. Hey y'all, I know this is super random, but I wanted to add this one thing in to this week's episode. I did have to end the episode early last time because I had to go poop. Okay, just to be honest. But anyway, I wanted to read this report to you guys, which is one of the things that I was trying to say before. But like I said, when you gotta go, you gotta go. So one of the things I wanted to say is that, so the congressional hearing appointed AARO, which is the I just want to double check. All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. AARO is the acronym, was established by the U.S. Department of Defense to investigate unidentified anomaly phenomena, UAPs, formerly known as UFOs. Let me slow down. Since its inception, AARO has released reports intended to provide transparency on the government's investigations. However, several discrepancies and points of contention have emerged, both in public discourse and among experts. Here are some key discrepancies. So, like I said, AARO was appointed already. I believe, I don't think they were formed. I can ask when they were formed. Let's just look real quick. When was AARO formed? So I'm trying to figure were they formed specifically? Okay, yes, they were formed very recently. All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office was officially established on July 20, 2022 by the U.S. Department of Defense. It was created in response to growing public, congressional, and military interest in UAPs. AARO replaced and expanded upon the UAP task force, which had been operating under U.S. Navy Office of Naval Intelligence. Its formation was mandated by the National Defense Authorization Act in 2022, which required a more structured, transparent, and permanent office to investigate UAPs across air, sea, and space in transmedium domains, standardize reporting across all branches of the military, and report findings to Congress regularly. The first director of AARO was Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, a physicist, an intelligence veteran who served until 2024 before retiring. Okay, that is what AARO is in its kind of background. Okay, so there is, like I said, a few discrepancies in the AARO report. Basically, they had, I guess, Department of Defense or whoever made this office so that they can get government transparency. Like I just read, get government transparency and say, hey, what's going on? We got to appoint somebody who could be more transparent with Congress, because a lot of times Congress was getting stonewalled with information from the military and intelligence agencies, and they wanted to appoint their own agency so they can get transparency through the Congress, which then could be translated to the public and really get things going and figure out what's happening. Now, they thought AARO was going to be like peaches and cream and everything was going to be cool and nothing was going to happen and everything was just going to go how it was supposed to go. The problem is it did not do that. AARO was like, they came out with a report where they did investigations, I believe, on several UAP cases. They did so many goddamn reports. I could figure out that number later. And they did these investigations, and Congress and the government was hoping, okay, this is a step forward. Well, they were wrong. I believe that. Well, a lot of people believe that AARO has been compromised, and that's not moving us forward as a people. And trying to figure out what's actually going on and all that. All right, so. Here are some discrepancies. The military versus civilian reports. The discrepancy is that AARO has primarily focused on military and government source sightings, whereas many civilian reports are excluded or not prioritized. The issue is that civilian UAP witnesses often claim similar experiences, but there's little cross-reference or public integration of their data, leading to gaps. Unidentified versus explained cases. The discrepancy is that AARO claims the majority of UAP cases eventually have mundane explanations like drones, balloons, or natural phenomena. The issue is that whistleblowers and some insiders like David Grush allege that the classified programs have recovered non-human craft, suggesting that a stark contrast between internal findings and public reporting. Data transparency. The discrepancy is that the public AARO reports are often heavily sanitized with vague language and minimal raw data shared. And the issue is that this fuels speculation that the government is downplaying or withholding significant findings. Historical records. The discrepancy is that AARO's March 2024 historical review report stated that there were no verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial technology or bodies. The issue is that this contradicts decades of witness testimony, leaked documents, and congressional hearing claims that's suggesting the existence of a crash retrieval program. Whistleblower claims versus AARO position. The discrepancy is that multiple whistleblowers, including high-ranking military and intelligence officials, have testified under oath about UAP recovery programs and non-human intelligence. The issue is that AARO has consistently denied the existence of such programs or said there's no credible evidence, creating a credibility gap. The congressional frustration. The discrepancy is that lawmakers, particularly on the House Oversight Committee, have expressed frustration with AARO's limited disclosures and perceived stonewalling. And the issue is that some representatives have pushed for more legislative oversight and declassification, but progress has been slow. The timing of reports. The discrepancy is that there are delays between UAP incidents and AARO's acknowledgement or analysis. And the issue is that by the time the reports are analyzed or published, the public interest has moved on, and original data may be harder to verify or reconstruct. Many in the UAP community believe that AARO is more of a public relations effort than a genuine investigation. Conversely, some analysts argue AARO is constrained by classification protocols and bureaucratic obstacles beyond its control. So, to summarize that, for the most part, basically AARO was like, what? UAPs? What UAPs? What y'all talking about? Baby, listen. Now, come on. There's so many documents, so many testimonies, so much evidence that it's insulting to the community for y'all to even say, what y'all mean this is not a thing? Because we have already seen the proof in the pudding. So what the hell is you talking about? Like, honestly, cut it the fuck out. Let me see. Let me look at this one more time. Previous government programs, previous secret government programs. Well, this is what we're looking up here, just in case you were a little confused. Previous secret government programs investigating UAPs, Okay, several secret or classified U.S. government programs have reportedly investigated UAPs over the decades, often hidden from the public and even from parts of Congress. Here's a breakdown of the most notable programs which both confirmed and alleged. You have Project Blue Book from 1952 to 1969, run by the Air Force. The Air Force. I'm talking about the Air Force. Running by the Air Force, okay? Their only purpose was to investigate UAP sightings. They had investigated 12,618 sightings and 701 remain unexplained, okay? Then you have Project Sign from 1948, and then they turned Project Sign turned into Project Grudge in 1949. They're the predecessors to the first project, and they took some sightings seriously, even suggesting a potential extraterrestrial origin. Okay, Project Grudge is a reverse tone. Project Grudge is a reversed tone, dismissing most sightings and adopting a debunking stance. This is when they was all like, aluminum foil, weather balloon, a star in the sky, a gaze. They was trying to say anything to declassify or put under the rug that UAPs exist, but it was just becoming too much. AAWSAP, baby, I'm not saying all that shit. From 2007 to 2012, it is funded by the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA. I'm not sure if I ever fucking heard of that. Okay, it was ran by a private company. It was originally focused on futuristic weapons threats. Okay. Oh no, and then it went to UFOs and paranormal phenomena. Okay. The funding was about $22 million, and that was quietly inserted by a senator, Harry Reid. Okay. The next one is ATIP, which was Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Shit. That was a lot. That was a fucking mouthful. I'm irritated. From 2008 to 2017, it was run by the Pentagon. Okay. And under the office of under Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. I don't know what the fuck that meant. Lead figure was Luis Elizondo, which is a person who who later resigned, claiming suppression of the program's findings. Now Luis Elizondo was actually someone who later testified in the congressional hearings regarding UAPs. Okay, investigate military encounters with UAPs. And let me see. So they started, this is analyzing stuff that was famous, like TikTok video, gimbal, go fast, whatever. The Pentagon initially denied ATIP existed and then admitted it and downplayed its significance. Okay, let me see. They have other programs, several other programs that I'm not going to mention because I don't got fucking time. But what I'm trying to say here is that why is AARO a new program to study UAPs? Why are they now still downplaying the existence of UAPs, knowing goddamn well that they have all these projects from before that they have admitted to what they do, how they do, the significance of them, and now you're telling me that all this shit never existed, but yet the Pentagon ran a program surrounding UAPs, but all of a sudden we just making shit up. Do you understand how much of a slap in the fucking face that is? Are you serious? Now, like I said before, a lot of times they try to overclassify things, talking about the technology we have. They don't want to compromise our position and let the adversaries know what exactly we have in the artillery, and I understand that. But like they said in the congressional hearings, you could blurt stuff out. You guys have all this shit going on, but y'all know how to blur shit out. Y'all know how to crop so that we can't see what kind of systems or locations or whatever that y'all using. In conclusion, I just really feel like if it has something to do with the safety of our troops, that it should be handled with care and it should be handled with urgency. And we should come up with a program to learn how to protect ourselves, both human and I'm sorry, civilian and military. I apologize. There's also been reports of humans getting too close and suffering from radiation poisoning, too close to these craft after they have descended and hit. They're basically, these craft are on the ground or close to the ground, and people encounter them or get really close to them and suffer from radiation poisoning. There was also a time where the aliens allegedly took in a person who touched a craft and took them in and allegedly did some type of procedures. But there were people that suffer from radiation poisoning a lot of times. And with that being said, we should know how to protect ourselves. And the government, they say they for the people, they're for protecting the people, will do that. And with that being said, that's all I have for you guys. I just wanted to add that quick thing in. I appreciate you allowing me to talk about this. And I know it's a little bit different from what I usually do. So once again, I appreciate you giving me a chance and letting me be versatile in a way. And all of that, I really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Whew, that's a lot. And that's where I'm gonna leave it. I've been going on and 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 on. I'm tired. I'm tired of going on and on. So I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope this wasn't a big waste for you guys. I hope you guys learned a lot. I sure did learn a lot. Please let me know if you have any follow-up questions, if there's anything I missed. I do have to go to the bathroom, so I gotta get the hell out of here. Please follow me on all platforms, Sides of It Pod. Once again, if you like my glasses, they are from Zulu. You can use the code Sides of It Pod to receive a discount on these glasses. I will put the name of the glasses inside of the description. Please use my link, click my link, click my link, click my link. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any concerns, please comment. And if you don't like this video, give it a thumbs down or get the fuck out of here. All right. Thank you again. This is Ms. D, Sides of the Podcast, and I'm out.
Your truth, their truth, the truth, unseen.